What if I told you that this pyramid was the key to make people fall in love with you and your content, and understanding and implementing this will easily double your engagement and unlock massive amounts of views and followers. And the crazy thing is, almost nobody does it. I don't even know why, because the results you can get with this are flat out crazy. Like this creator who went from being stuck for years to becoming one of the most engaged and fastest growing accounts in their niche. Yeah, social media is for sure changing, and if you really want to make it, you've got to adapt. So in this video, I'll reveal the super powerful pyramid of growth that will completely transform the way you approach content creation, double or even triple your engagement, and I'll show you how we use this to get another creator to blow up and stay there pretty much overnight. Crazy. Usually people's reach and engagement drops because there's either a weird algorithm glitch that takes away a little bit of reach, or, and that's actually the way more common one, because other content that's also out there at the same time is just better, more engaging, and way more interesting. And sometimes your reach getting lower and lower doesn't even have to have anything to do with your content per se, right? Let's play a small game. Think back to the middle of last year and based on your gut feeling, right? Which one did you see a lot more than the other one during this time? Yeah, I guess we all remember, and yeah, feeds on all 3, 4, 5, 6 platforms we're just full with this case with content about this. And stuff like that, you know, sometimes to a lesser extent, of course, happens constantly throughout all platforms. There might be something right there at that time that just gets all the attention from the algorithms, because people in general are just more interested in that thing at that very time. Talking about trends and stuff. You either have to deal with it, right? Keep posting and not fall into the trap of the downward spiral of engagement, right? Or use whatever this trend is that's currently going on to your advantage and try to wrap it around your niche and your content. So instead of the old danceroo, right? Kind of the same thing that everybody else is doing all the time. Do, for example, what Dr. Faisal Amir did.
Amber Heard cut your finger? Don't worry, I'll tell you what to do.
Not only did he use humor and a totally unexpected twist to get people to stop, right, to watch, he used that current super trend to go broader and get attention from people outside of his super narrow niche. And I'm also sure he got a lot of prospects and clients coming because of, right, that content piece hijacking that current trend. So something that you should constantly be aware of whenever you notice some sort of drop. What's going on right now in the world or in the internet, right? And then you want to try to find ways to use this, whatever's going on right now, to get eyeballs over to you, right? Talking about trend jacking. Now, of course, that's only one part of the equation, and it's only really powerful if you mix it with the other ingredients of our pyramid, because otherwise you'll be just known as this one-hit wonder nobody really cares about anymore after some time. So the first part of this pyramid that we just talked about, it's you and your content actually hijacking trends, and you know, it's basically where all comes together. And in the middle of this pyramid, or the pyramid actually, is the algorithm tying everything together. And to understand this next very important part, we need to understand this first. Imagine you go to a random party you see in the street and you don't actually know anybody. Kind of awkward there. And then you suddenly meet somebody who shares your interests and had similar experiences as you. Ever had a conversation with somebody where you're just like,
oh my God, yes, totally. I feel the same. It's basically the same for me.
Awesome, right? And that's exactly what you want to achieve with your content. Make somebody who comes along, finds your content, instantly relate to it, right? And one super underestimated way is to simply reply to each comment and DM that you get. People need to feel like they're actually taking part of the conversation, and you want to reply to every comment because others are going to see it. And if they see you don't really reply to anything or at all, they're not even going to bother. Whereas if they see you always reply, have a good time with your followers, they're just way more likely to interact with you, giving you sweet algorithm points, and it's exactly the right data it actually wants to see. By the way, talking about data, you might be aware of it by now that, yeah, I collect a lot of data around Instagram and other social media platforms to understand their intricacies and figure out why things work the way they work. It's basically my job to understand everything, to, you know, educate you about this. And one thing I actually reference quite a lot, especially to compare it with my own findings, is a free report you can actually download below in the description, compiling data from over 110 million Instagram accounts. I can really recommend you to take a look at this, and it's actually from the sponsor of the video, HubSpot. Basically, they collect a lot more data than I would even be able to do, and especially doing research about the Instagram algorithm, I really love to cross-reference the reports, like this engagement report, which basically details a lot of interesting insights you might not be aware of. For example, one thing that kind of surprised me as well is that overall global engagement has gone up twice since the year before. And even more so, the latest numbers just came in and even went up again last year a bit. talking about engagement drops. Pretty interesting if you ask me. Now, as I said, this guide is totally free, filled with strategies and insights from over 100 million accounts from different niches and countries. I've linked it down below for you. Now, let's head back to the party really quick, because you actually hitting it off with one person because you're so alike is actually only the baseline step, and it's kind of nice, but most people are going to be able to find at least one person they kind of can relate with, right? So imagine your new friend not only starts asking you questions, makes a conversation about you and your problems and things you're into, but they also grab you by the hand, go to the other people and say stuff like, hey, did you just hear what Carl said? He's one of us as well. And then everybody in the party knows you. And then you feel like you're actually part of this group, the tribe, which is basically the same thing that happens if you incorporate your followers into your content somehow, right? Have them be part of the story, share their DMs, for example. Simple as that. Make some content around them or with them. And this is, by the way, where the community effect and one part of the primal branding code that we talk about in my programs, like the Black File or my mentorship, which, by the way, will start a brand new, super intimate 10-week group coaching run, going over all the intricacies of growing a sustainable brand on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, right? We've had somebody blow up like crazy on TikTok just the other day, for example. We're going to deconstruct how you can actually create the perfect content strategy for your case and so many other great things. We're actually limited to 30 spots maximum, probably because this is the first real run of this group mentorship. We're probably going to make it even less a little bit. So make sure to apply for a spot down below. It's going to start pretty soon. Now, back to the primal branding code, and let's uncover the last two parts of the pyramid. Remember, we have the content at the top. We have them, meaning your followers down here. We include them in your content, especially with relatability, tightening this whole bond. And now we're getting serious. If you're unaware of the primal branding code, it's basically a principle taken from the book Primal Branding by Patrick Hanlon. And it's basically about different branding elements most of the big super magnetic brands have in common. And if you take a look at especially great creators with a super engaged audience, they all have at least these two elements nailed down. One thing almost all of them have is some kind of ritual, whatever that might be, right? Something that gets the tribe together, like the weekly party that you just crashed, right? Where they all come and meet, right? And this could in real life be as simple as just having a dedicated upload day for your content if you establish it as part of your tribe's ritual. I've had a client, for example, always in her stories and throughout the week in her other content mention, right, Sunday 6 p.m. It's Sunday 6 p.m. And it's basically a ritual where she goes to the local bakery and eats a cake. No matter what, everything needs to be dropped at Sunday 6 p.m. There's no way around it, right? And it became a ritual. People started commenting about the Sunday 6 p.m. thing. People even started to show their own Sunday 6 p.m. routine, right? Tagging her when they ate a cake, for example, sort of becoming the tribe's insider joke, right? Another example that we talked about in my previous video is any recurring type of series, right? It has multiple reasons, but also because of the rituals, like the creator who grew 300,000 followers within 3 weeks. Another day, another challenge kind of thing. And looking back at what we talked about up until now, slowly this thing's starting to look a lot less like the typical two-dimensional, I am the creator, you are my audience type of vibe, and actually more like the multi-dimensional, we're together, right? We're a tribe pyramid. The others, especially, which is actually the last corner of our super powerful mega pyramid. And it's kind of been hidden in plain sight forever. Let me give you an example. Just which one do you think is better? Microsoft or Apple? There is no real answer because opinions are different. Some people identify, for example, with the pretty boring, sort of nerdy and unimaginative Microsoft, while others just like Apple because they're cool. Right, get it? And back in the days, Steve Jobs and Apple actually had a pretty good understanding of this whole concept, and they did all kinds of funny things to sort of steer people up in either direction. Here's a playful but very powerful super fan building example of Steve Jobs introducing their new macOS, making fun of Microsoft.
Got a basic version, which is going to cost $129. We've got a premium version, which is going to cost $129. We have a business version, which is going to cost $129. We have an enterprise version. It's going to cost $129. And we have the ultimate version. We're throwing everything into it. It's $129.
Notice how the crowd absolutely goes wild when he says that. It's because he's talking about something polarizing, right? So the last part of our pyramid is actually about polarizing content, and most specifically about the non-believers, which are basically people who are not part of your tribe, right? Maybe even the exact opposite of that. And by calling them out, by having a sort of common enemy and emphasizing why you as a brand or creator are just different, it creates probably the strongest sense of community there is. And yeah, if you're lucky, the actual non-believers will leave you very interesting, probably slightly negative comments, which all again show the algorithm that you're actually worthy of getting pushed out. Because bad engagement is engagement too. I can sing a song about that, by the way. Now, if you've noticed, all of these parts are designed to sort of specifically give the algorithm exactly what it wants and grow a community of super fans. But I actually noticed that there's a few more small tweaks you need to make in order to get the algorithm on your side again, because things just changed. So make sure to watch this video next, where I'll show you how to actually get recommended by the algorithm right now. If you don't implement these small tweaks I discovered in this video, your reach will stay down and suffer.